Can you get infected with cancer when you've been in contact with someone that has cancer? Can romantic partners still kiss, touch, share meals, and have intercourse with the partner that has cancer? Let's chat about it. Hello, fellow human. My name is Letego. I'm also known as Sinentika, and welcome to Sinentika Cancer Content. Just remember, my videos are for educational purposes. They are not meant to substitute medical diagnosis or medical advice. If you need medical attention, please do see your physician. On today's episode, we answer the question, is cancer contagious? But to do that, I have to first and foremost explain what is this cancer. And I'm going to make an illustration using biscuits a little bit later on, so please stay tuned. This illustration is going to show what is cancer, or rather what happens to the cancer cell when it develops in the body. So cancer is a disease that develops when a cell in our body changes or gets damaged, and that leads to the cell dividing abnormally at an uncontrollable rate. When the cells in your body are dividing normally, cell division happens all the time, by the way. Whether you can feel it or not, you don't even know that it's happening. For you to move from a baby to a toddler into adulthood eventually, and for you to reach your maximum height, that was cell division. For those that did biology, you might be familiar with what I'm talking about. But there are cells that never stop dividing. For example, cells like our hair cells. That's why when you cut your hair, you know that it's going to grow back. When you cut your nails, they're going to grow back. So those kind of cells, our hair cells, our nail cells, our skin cells, many cells in our body are always dividing. When those cells are dividing normally, the cells are healthy, and you are therefore regarded as healthy, unless you have some other illness that you're battling that does not necessarily involve your cells or affect your cells. So when the cells are damaged or there's a change that happens in the cell, that's when cell division goes wrong, and that's when there's trouble. When cell division goes wrong, the cells divide uncontrollably, and a lot of the time those cells are then regarded as cancerous, or they come out cancerous, and then subsequently there would be a cancer diagnosis. Let's make the illustration, shall we? I'm going to have to turn the camera so that I can show you the illustration properly. Okay guys, so I'm now about to do that illustration that I spoke to you about earlier. This is probably not the best illustration that you will see, but it's also not the worst. My goal being to keep education simplified, I did want to use an illustration that is not too complicated and that is not too complex. So here, this biscuit will represent a normal cell, and this smaller version will represent a cancer cell. So I'll start illustrating that normal cell division. So if normal cell division occurs from this original cell, the cell will divide into two other cells, and then into two more cells, making that 4 cells. And most of the time when this cell division is happening, it's the cells are dividing into a replica of the original cell. So that's normal. They look exactly the same. They're going out exactly the same way. Please bring your imagination with you as I'm doing this. So normal cell division, normal cell division, normal cell division, and then all of a sudden, when this cell is supposed to divide, something goes wrong. Let's say that happens. Now there is cell damage to that cell. So then what happens is it's going to start dividing abnormally, because there's a change that happened to the cell. It's no longer the same as the others. And now that abnormal cell division we're talking about is the cell then dividing. I'm just going to put it on top. I'm not going to remove it. Is the cell then dividing abnormally. So then it's dividing, And it's dividing out of control the whole time. It no longer has a sequence or communication of how it's supposed to divide. It's just dividing uncontrollably. And as it's dividing, one thing about cancer cells are bullies. They will divide into normal tissue. The surrounding tissue that is there will get destroyed. The cancer cell will invade into it. If there's bone there, it will divide into it. If there's kidney, it's going to divide into it. It doesn't say, oops, there's this in the way. It just continues to divide. And by this point in your body, you're starting to feel maybe the lump in your breast or the growth on your neck. This is the cell dividing. And that's why we speak about early diagnosis, because if you're not going to a doctor to stop this intervention, to start intervention with treatment, the cell is not going to stop. It will divide, crushing normal tissue surrounding that cancer cell and destroying normal tissue, creating what is ultimately the growth or the lump or the mass. So that is why we speak of early detection. We need you guys to go and stop this division from happening as soon as possible, so that ultimately you can save your surrounding organs, you can stop the cancer from growing. Also, another thing about these cells, not only will they stop here where they're going into surrounding tissues, eventually the cell will break into the bloodstream and move into distant organs. So it can move into the brain now, it can move into the lungs, moving via your blood or your lymphatic system. So in summary, cancer is cell damage. Cancer equals to damage or change to your cells. And when we talk about cancer prevention, we are ideally talking about ways that you can prevent those cells from experiencing this change that will ultimately lead to cancer. So when we're talking about eating certain types of foods to prevent cancer or to fight cancer, we're talking about the nutrients and how those nutrients help your cells potentially not develop cancer. When we say wear sunscreen, it's a way that you prevent the rays from the sun from changing the cells in your skin to turning into cancer, skin cancer. When we say don't smoke, we are saying don't do that to your cells, because eventually in the long run, potentially, it will turn into cancer. When we say drink your green tea is very good. It's a cancer fighting food, by the way. It's very good for you. So drink your green tea. And many other ways. Don't drink alcohol or reduce your alcohol intake. Well, I struggle with that one. I do love my wine. But with anything in the world, moderation is always going to be the key. So it's those things. I will make a separate video where I talk about risk factors to cancer, and we go through them one by one and discuss why this thing is a risk factor and why it would cause you the cancer. But essentially, that's what we are saying when we say prevent cancer or stay healthy. That's what we are saying. We're saying keep the cells of your body healthy, help them divide normally. Now that we've got a clearer picture of what cancer is, we can answer the question, is cancer contagious? And the answer is no. No. Cancer is not contagious. It's not infectious. It cannot move from one person's body into another person's body. Cancer is not a virus. When we talk about a virus, we talk about a highly infectious agent. A virus can move from one person into another person. It can move from a person into a surface, from that surface into another person. And examples of those viruses are the flu virus, HIV virus, COVID-19, chickenpox, smallpox, measles, HPV virus. Those viruses are highly infectious. And that's why I'm sure as I'm talking to you, you're thinking about the different ways that we had to protect ourselves when we had the pandemic, the COVID-19 virus. We had to wear masks, we had to sanitize, we had to keep a distance. And those are the ways that we would protect ourselves. And you also know the different ways to protect yourself from getting infected with the HIV virus, using a condom, mother to child, taking the PrEP medication, all those different ways. So with cancer, that is not the case. The cancer cells cannot move from one person that has the cancer into another person by any means. There is no way that that can happen, not through kissing, not through touching, sharing a meal, breathing the same air, sexual intercourse. There is no way that those cells can move from one individual into another individual. There's just no way. The only way that it can happen is when an organ is being donated to another individual. When there's liver transplant or kidney transplant, and maybe the donor had a history of cancer or had a high risk of cancer, and then that liver that was donated then develops cancer cells in the new body where it is. But even then, the risks are very low, because doctors, when you are a donor, doctors have to have your medical history. There are checks that are in place before any of your organs can be used. So that is the only way. And I hope that now that you know this, you will give your loved one at home the care that they deserve. There have been reports of people getting very poor quality of care at home because maybe their loved ones are afraid that they will also get sick. Take it from this video, you will not get sick. There is no way that you will get infected. So please, give your loved one the bath that they need. Feed them if you need to feed them. Hug them, kiss them. They need the physical embrace now more than ever. So please, there is no need for you to be afraid. Husbands and boyfriends, you can have intercourse with your partners, even if they have cancer. You are not going to get infected. Unless maybe where the cancer is, the symptoms that are presenting makes it painful or difficult for your partner to have intercourse, then of course that is different. And then that is a discussion that you can have with your partner, with your doctor, to see how else you can do it. But don't not give affection to your partner because you are afraid of getting sick. You will not get sick. Your loved ones at home need you to hug them now more than ever. Embrace them. Don't not give someone affection because you're scared that you're going to get sick. I am here to assure you today that you're not. You're not going to get sick. Cancer is not infectious. If you're watching this video and you're fighting cancer, may God's divine healing powers locate you and rid your body of those cancer cells. We are praying with you. Okay, so that brings me to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and you found it informative in any way, please do indicate so by hitting the like button. Also subscribe if you're watching from outside and you haven't subscribed yet. Subscribing to this channel will help this channel monetize. And when this channel monetizes, the money will be used for Cancer Cancelled Foundation, a foundation that helps families to get through a difficult time, families to help a loved one that has a cancer diagnosis that can no longer work. So we help with anything like groceries, electricity bill, those kind of things. So please do help us monetize so that we can help as many families as possible. Also comment. I'd like to hear what you thought. I'd like to hear your thoughts. If there's anything else you'd like to say, I'd like to hear it. Even if it's constructive criticism, I'll welcome it. Just don't be negative. There's a difference between being constructively criticizing constructively and being negative. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next one.